Imagine you're in a small town where ambulances can take a half an hour to arrive, and the child you're babysitting has epilepsy. Would you know how to help them if they had a seizure? Now imagine you're out to dinner in a big city and your friend accidentally consumes their allergen. Do you know where their EpiPen is and how to use it? What if you're out on the street and you see someone collapse, and ignoring the global pandemic we're currently in, when you rush to help them, you see that their medical ID only states that they have a heart condition? Would you give them CPR? How would you help this person based solely on the information provided by their medical ID? What if there was a way you could know the answer to all these questions and more? Spoiler alert, there is. Introducing the Medical Assistance via Quick Response Code Bracelet, or MAQR, as in don't meet your maker, meet your MAQR. With these bracelets, a single scan of a smartphone can now provide a nearly limitless amount of life-saving information to provide the basic yet critical help required in the first few minutes of a medical emergency. Before we dive in, let's go back to how this project started. I had watched a YouTube ad for standard medical bracelets and asked, why are people only given 4 lines of text at most to help in a medical emergency? And how is $100 a good deal? Unfortunately, I learned that $100 really isn't that bad, especially when you're paying out of pocket for what American insurance calls auxiliary medical accessories. This forces people to make the choice between cost and care. I knew that I could do better, so I researched different types of medical IDs, especially RFID chips and medical tattoos. I knew I wanted my bracelets to be both scannable and customizable, so when I learned about QR codes, my idea really took off. Using an open source code for a static QR, I borrowed a friend's coding textbook and learned how to modify it so it's scanned to a text page with Jane Doe's medical information. It could barely be considered coding, but I'm still proud of this black and white array that I printed and duct taped to an old watch. I tested it binomially versus a standard medical ID to see which allowed people to assist in a staged medical emergency faster. And to my surprise, the speed of my bracelet was statistically significantly faster. By the following year, my coding skills had markedly improved. The medical bracelets now used a dynamic QR code that included more information, including name, date of birth, emergency contacts, blood type, donor status, medication lists, allergies, diseases, and conditions, along with additional steps to provide support in medical emergencies. I was still using open source code for the scaffold of the QR, but now instead of a basic text page, I created an updatable web page using HTML and CSS. So instead of having to get a new medical bracelet every time new diagnoses were made, we could simply go online and update the information. The next year, I wanted to create something really impactful, a noise-making Bluetooth carrying case to go with the bracelets that could hold additional medical equipment needed in emergencies, such as EpiPens and glucose monitors. I learned about Bluetooth functionality, active and passive setups, and how to really code. I used an Arduino Bluetooth module linked to the webpage, so when the QR code was scanned and the bright blue link clicked, the battery-powered Bluetooth module activated a piezo buzzer, pictured here, that emitted a high-pitched noise from inside the carrying case. Besides improved response time, another critical element of MAQR bracelets are their affordability, accessibility, and aesthetics. According to a study by Pew Research, the #1 polling reason why people don't like wearing medical bracelets is that they aren't aesthetically pleasing, as most are just a piece of engraved metal on a chain band. Therefore, I learned how to electroplate, weld, and 3D print in order to make custom bracelets that are as fashionable as they are functional. Additionally, the most expensive of these bracelets can be produced for under $30 and offer a unique range of optional additional features such as auto-translation, text-to-speech functionality, and updatable medication lists. Beyond the bracelets, I also constantly and consistently work to address the disparities and inequities of being a woman in STEM. Coming from a town with more cows than people, I worked on this project independently for over 3 years before I received professional help. While I am proud of my individual accomplishments, I also recognize that science cannot and will not happen in a vacuum. As my mentor once told me, just because we are underserved does not mean we are undeserving. This is why I started an initiative to support college-age students who return to their rural communities to provide mentorship and guidance to the next generation of students interested in STEM. Through this program, students have filed patents, attended international conferences, and received more than $10,000 in grants. They make me incredibly proud and remind me that what we create today is the inspiration of tomorrow, and what a beautiful day it will be. Finally, to put this project into perspective, the biomedical engineering lab I work in 3D prints working heart models. The fact that medical bracelets, what people look at first in medical emergencies, have experienced little to no technological improvement is absolutely absurd, and why I think MAQR bracelets are so important. These provide peace of mind to worried parents, partners, and anyone with medical problems. With MAQR bracelets, help is only one scan away.